Okay, the fourth challenge to fundraising for myocarditis is a confusion about what the disease actually is. This is really interesting, and Kristen, I'll bet you heard about this case. I saw a CBS television news docudrama, and I think it was 48 Hours, if that's the one that's on Channel 2, that was anchored by Erin Moriarty, which aired on October 27, 2012. And the title of the program was Lena's Heart. Did you see it?
No, I didn't see that
A
one.
young husband, Adam Kaufman from Miami, was on trial for murdering his wife, who he found in the bathroom on the floor in the middle of the night. He called 911, panic-stricken, she could not be revived, and he was charged with her murder. Anybody hear this case? Anybody see this? Okay. So he went on trial. He went on trial for murder. For the prosecution, physicians questioned how Lena could have died of heart disease when she was young and healthy and she didn't have any symptoms. Really? Physicians for the defense explained what myocarditis was, and the jury had to decide who was telling the truth. It's a medical condition. I mean, it's amazing to me. This happened in October of 2012. Ms. Moriarty postulated how in an area of high-tech crime investigation could so many doctors disagree. And I want to say, how in an era of high-tech modern medicine can so many doctors disagree? Mr. Kaufman was acquitted of murdering his wife, but not without a public outcry that he had gotten away with murder. Interesting. Look it up. Look it up on your iPad. I found this story so interesting because how many of us have asked ourselves the same questions. How could this disease have happened? Why didn't I see it coming? How could it have progressed so quickly from no or only mild symptoms to death? And worse than that, many of us are left feeling guilty because they feel that they have missed something. Does this trial tell you anything? This is what I think. I think you didn't miss anything. I was an old coronary critical care nurse, and I never suspected heart failure in myself, much less myocarditis, which I've never heard of. Myocarditis comes out of the blue. We don't expect it because we are healthy to begin with. We are taught in our culture that disease progresses from mild to life-threatening over time, and that if we change our behavior, we can turn it around. We expect diseases to be preventable, treatable, and curable, and myocarditis is not preventable or curable, but in some cases, and sometimes, it is treatable. And again, there was an article in a women's magazine about Rod Stewart's ex-wife, Rachel Hunter, where she admitted to having recently suffered a mild case of myocarditis. She went on to say that she completely recovered, but that it was a wake-up call to take better care of herself. All people who get myocarditis are usually healthy, athletic people. Do you know what I mean? Taking better care of yourself. It's not a preventable disease. It isn't. I wish I could tell you it was. I wish it was something that we knew that could make this disease preventable. The best thing that you can do is to wash your hands during flu season. I mean, does that make you preventable? Does that prevent myocarditis? No. But it's a behavior that might prevent you from getting viruses, which is one of the causes, but it's not going to help you with the other ones. So I thought that that was fairly ironic. I love watching the news. Why must we all be engaged in raising money for the Myocarditis Foundation? Essentially because we are the only organization doing so. We are the only ones solely focused on this disease with the goal of saving more lives. Dr. Cooper is recognized worldwide as the leading expert on giant cell myocarditis and is invited to speak around the world on diagnosis and treatment of myocarditis. The American Heart Association, with whom we have partnered for the last 2 years, co-funding myocarditis grants, and thank God they do. We're very grateful to them, is dedicated to preventing cardiovascular disease. So we're not really their primary focus, but thank God they co-fund the grants. And when we say co-fund, and this is a partnership that we developed just in the past 2 years, we found it was very difficult for us to raise $35,000 for each research grant. When we co-fund a grant with American Heart, we're paying half of it. Now, I'd just like to point out that they have the population of the United States to draw from in terms of raising money, and they raise a lot of money. In fact, I think one of the statistics I read was that in 2012, they got $19 million revenue from their investments. That's not what they raised. So what they have in their savings account, they got $19 million from their investments. We at the Myocarditis Foundation have a budget of about $150,000 to $200,000. We've done a lot with that money over the past 7 years, going on 8, that we have been in existence. But the bottom line is, we have done that at our own expense. I was executive director for 7 years. I was free. We're now paying Lindsay. We need more money. I mean, that's the truth. We're behind on infrastructure, but rather than focusing on what we didn't have, we tried to push forward the disease. We funded probably 10 grants to the tune of $400,000 to $500,000. We always gave away almost every penny we had. We tried to keep the money back to pay our expenses, which were office expenses and education printing expenses and lights and computers and programs and education and that kind of thing. But we did our best to keep pushing this disease forward from a research standpoint. But we need money now in order to get bigger, because we've gotten global. We hear from patients from all over the world. We have documented that we have heard from roughly 40 countries around the world, because our primary exposure to the world is our website. Monty Willis, who you're going to hear next, and Lori Blowett, and every member of our board contributed to upgrading our website last year. We had a recommendation from a consultant that our website needed to be more robust. Everybody worked on it, making it more robust. We used to get 4,000 hits per month. We get 260,000 hits per month now. So it was money well spent. Part of it was a grant from St. Jude Foundation, which, by the way, I'm thanking overtly, because they have given us money for the past 5 years, but they are almost the only ones, corporations, that we've been able to convince to give money to us regularly, because they believe in what we're doing. St. Jude Medical, for your information, make defibrillators. Many of us who survive myocarditis have defibrillators because we have lethal arrhythmias, and which means that the beat, when it tries to pass across the face of the heart, can hit one of those patchy areas of focal scarring and become a lethal arrhythmia. So many of us with myocarditis have defibrillators. And St. Jude Medical has recognized that there's a match there for us. There's a company, and I won't say who they are, a corporation that makes heart pumps, which are used like in a critical situation, like Alex. He had ECMO, but then there's another kind called a heart pump. And they list on their website myocarditis as one of the medical conditions which might be used, where their medical device might have to be used. We applied for grants. We were refused grants over a couple of years. And finally, the third year when I talked to them, they said, well, we've eliminated our grant department as a cost-saving measure. And they just make a donation to American Heart, because then they don't have to pay a salary, benefits, vacation to people to develop the grants, receive the grants, evaluate the grants, administer the grants, write the check for the grants. Made it easy for them. They just give it to American Heart. Well, that was one of our few sources. Do you know what I mean? We don't have a lot of sources because there isn't one treatment for this disease. This treatment for this disease is every trick in the book. That's what I like to say. It's everything in the medical bag. Everything. everything, every type of coronary drug, every type of heart failure drug, every type of fluid, like Lasix, taking fluid off the body, all kinds of pumps, ECMO, LVADs, BiVADs, defibrillators, medical devices. It takes everything. You throw everything at a myocarditis patient to try and save their life, if you're given that chance. The ones that don't succumb to sudden death. But it makes it difficult for us in terms of applying for grants, because there isn't one treatment out there. So why should people listen to us? And by the way, they all believe myocarditis is a rare disease. You have a very hard time convincing them that all those unknowns that Giovanna was talking about could in fact be myocarditis. Okay, now I'm really lost. Okay. What is your board of directors doing about myocarditis? Aside from all the things I just mentioned, Lindsay is our director. Thank you, God, for Lindsay. Lindsay is your interface. Yes, you can go ahead. Lindsay is a very kind, compassionate, wonderful person. She's your point person. She'll staff your fundraisers. She'll assist you with fundraising. She'll help you develop posters. She's going to be the first person you talk to when you call, and we're very, very glad to have her. Dr. Cooper, I've already said over and over and over, is the expert on giant cell and speaks all over the world on myocarditis, but what I hope those of you who met him for the first time figured out is he's a very accessible man. He is a kind man. He is accessible to you. He'll find a time to call you back. You feel you need to speak to him. If there's a reason why you have questions about myocarditis that you need answered, Dr. Cooper will speak to you, and as will Lindsay, as I will, as almost any member of the board will. If you just want to talk, we're there for you. That's the patient support aspect of what we do. Dr. Delisa Fairweather, who some of you met last night, maybe some of you didn't, is a researcher from Johns Hopkins, and in addition to her job responsibilities, which are numerous, she is writing a book on myocarditis for physicians. Dr. Cooper's book, which I mentioned a minute ago, was written more than 12 years ago, and so there hasn't been a textbook that I know of that's been published since then, and Delisa is working on that. Mike Austria is one of our board members from Dallas, Texas. He lost his brother, who he was running a half marathon with. His brother died at the finish line. Mike is in the publishing business, and he specifically publishes magazines that have to do with running. And whenever there's a space that he needs to fill in one of his running magazines, he throws in an ad for the Myocarditis Foundation. We could never afford to do that. We could never afford to do that. Some of you, your children's pictures are in that ad. Carolyn, who's going to be speaking to you later. I'm going to skip over Dr. Monty Wills, you're going to hear about pretty soon, and he does research as well, and I'm going to let you tell him. He can tell you what he's about. Okay.